Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dina and today I'm going to be doing a whip parade. I'm going to start with the first group that will be an unrelated group except for one thing. They're all on scroll rods, and so because they're so large in some cases and unwieldy, I'm going to do this group first and then I'll pause the camera. I will put them all away, and that will give me room on my table for the rest of my whips. So I'll start with one of the ones you've seen most recently, and that is Friends. This is an adaptation of a Bob Timberlake artwork, painting of his. It's charted by Kathy Livingston, and these are hard to find. They're you have to eBay them to get them. And I'm doing this as a present for my friend Cheryl. And I've stitched on it down to the last row. I'm in the bottom quadrant or fourth of the piece. And so my next section will take me to the bottom. And I've got it divided into 3 parts so that I could stitch it in September, October, and November and give myself December to get it framed. So this is where I am with Friends. It is a full coverage piece, and it is also a hand-drawn chart. So that took me a little while getting used to it. But I'm doing this on an Aida. This is a 14 count Aida, and it is an off-white Aida. I had it in my stash, but since it was full coverage, I didn't want to use up any linen or any even weave, so the Aida has been fine. And when I do have half stitches or 3/4 stitches or anything like that, I just have to pierce the Aida. So that's not too terribly bad. It's not that often, so it's doing fine. So the second one I have on scroll rods to share with you is also one you've seen recently. And this is a Glendon Place design called Sleepy Hollow. I'm doing this one on a hand-dyed fabric, hand-dyed by Stephanie, and it's called Banshee. And I have been working on it from the top down. I am saving the moon in the background to the very end because I'm going to do that moon in glow-in-the-dark thread. So I'm not going to put any of it in and then roll on it as I go to the bottom. You know, I'm going to wait and do it last. So I'm going from the top down. So right now I've gotten about right here all the way across. So before long, I'll be scrolling this up as I keep moving on this one. My next one is also one that I've worked on recently. It's by Jardin Preve. It is in French, but it translates to scissors and bobbins. This pattern was gifted to me by a fellow stitcher who had already stitched it and asked if I wanted to do it. And I said, of course, for my sewing room, it would be perfect. So I am stitching this one on a beautiful even weave. It is a 28 count antique white Lugana, and it's actually a remnant from the piece I did, Flowers of the Holy Night, which is up on my wall there. So this is where I got to on the last time I worked on it. I even have a part thread there on the scissors, but I'm really pleased with how quickly this one is stitching up. This one I'm hoping to finish sometime this year. This next one is a fairly new piece for me. I'm stitching it on 32 count Lugana. The color is Sand, and you will recognize Seeking Refuge. It's a very popular piece right now, and I haven't worked on it yet in the month of August, so you haven't seen this one lately, but I have it on my schedule to do. And the last time I worked on it, I did it for a prompt, and so I finished that roof. I stitched in all that black for the roof and got a large number of stitches for that. And this is a piece that's charted to be stitched 1/2, and I started doing that at the very tip top, and I find it to be pretty faint. I did it in the border, which you can barely see, so I started over, not over, but as I got past the border, I decided I would leave that in relief, and I'm doing everything else now 2/2, except for the called for 1/1s, like the heart. And my date that I'm supposed to put in here will be 1/1 as well. But I love this sand. I think it's really, really a pretty neutral. The next one I have on the scroll frame is my winter Quaker. And I got this at Pigeon Forge there at Dixie Darling, and they had it completely kitted up with the called for Valdani threads. And I am using it on the called for fabric as well, which is Dwarf. And it's not a crystal, but it is a beautiful mottled blue, quite lovely. And I'm looking forward to getting back to touching this one. I haven't worked on this one and since June, because I didn't do this one in Christmas in July, and I haven't gotten to it yet this month. So it's been since June since that one has seen any love. The next one you've seen quite a bit, and it is one of my scavenger hunt pieces. In fact, I have one prompt left to do on this one to finish the tier that I'm on, the bottom tier, and I'm looking forward to pulling it out this month. And my goal, in addition to the number of stitches I have to do for that prompt, is to possibly finish the little little boy's legs if I can. This one is a little unique in that it's by Mirabilia, and I am stitching it on an opalescent fabric. It is 28 count Lugana white opalescent, and I've done some changing to it, so I'll show you what the pattern comes in 2 parts. It's a little boy and a little girl. Here they are. And they're separate pieces, but I have recharted them and put them side by side, and I have placed the words that you see around both of them. It says Snow Angel around each. I've moved them over and I've put Snow Angels on the bottom. So top and bottom. So that's how I'm gonna do mine. And that's why it's on such a long piece of fabric, because I'm gonna put them together. I think they'd be cute that way. And then my most recent start that is on a scroll rod is the Cross Stitch Nation, and I started this for World Cross Stitch Day just on August 14th. And I am stitching this on Ophelia, which is a hand-dyed fabric by Stephanie, and it's 28 count. It is a Lugana, and you've just seen this one, so this is no surprise. This is where I'm at on it, and I can't wait to get back to it. It's an easy stitch, and I'm enjoying it. The last one I want to share with you on my scroll rods, I almost forgot because I had it tucked away so well, but this is the Nativity by Teresa Wentzler. This is one that I had to restart because of the fabric, which I've now repurposed, and I'm already working on another project on it, which I'll show you in a minute. But so far, this is what I've gotten to. I have done the top border, except for the cry neck and the beading. So I'm ready to start moving my way down into the picture and the border as I go, as it moves down the page. So I'm going to pause the camera now and move all of these things out of the way, and I'll be right back. Now that I've got all that put away, I will share with you what I have that are not affixed to scroll rods. They're things I'm working on in a Q-snap, and this first one is one of my recent starts, another Teresa Wentzler Mermaid. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I'm doing this on a beautiful piece of fabric that I can't remember the name of, so I'm going to look it up for you. It is a 28 count Jobelin. It's Queen Anne's lace. And this was gifted to me, and it should fit perfectly. Look, there's the border on both sides. I did that as my first attempt working on this new start, just to make sure it was going to fit. And then the next time I work on it, I think I'm going to try to work my way down at least one side to make sure, just doubly sure, that it's going to make it in the length. I'm always nervous about that. Anyway, this is one you saw very recently, and it's a Mirabilia. It's called Gathering Eggs, and this is what it looks like. This is the one I'm doing as a sal. And as you may recall, this is where I'm at on that piece. And I'm actually going to be working on this one later today for a prompt. So I'm going to put it over here so that I don't lose it. Pardon me for stepping off camera there. This one you've seen very recently as well. I worked on it this month already. It's called Autumn Arbor, and it is from the Drawn Thread, and there is a series of these, one for each season. I do have all of the seasons, and I do intend to do them all, and I'm really pleased with how that one looks. I think it's very, very pretty. And the fabric on this one is a 32 count Lugana called White Tea, and it's from Color and Cotton. It's beautiful, beautiful, and it just feels wonderful to stitch with. So I'm enjoying that. And this was a project bag that I made myself a while back, my first one I ever made by the Vonna method. This next one is one I'm doing as a gift for my sister Stephanie. So Stephanie, if you will look away, please. Thank you. This is a reminder. It's an Erica Michaels pattern, and I'm making good progress on it, and I'm doing it in my own colors, and I'm really enjoying how that is coming out. Okay, sister, you can look back again. Now, this is another fairly new piece, but you haven't seen it this month. And it's going to be hard to show you the piece, so I'm just going to show you one pattern that's going to be the middle of it. And then I'll have the 12 sheep virtues, you know, all around it. I'm doing it on a light taupe, and this is Lugana, and this is the border of the top row. And I did make it my own border. I do intend to continue with the border until I get all of the border completed so that I know everything's going to fit. I don't usually do that, but I am on this piece. This one is a really fun stitch from Plum Street Samplers. It's called Sew Sisters. And I made great progress on this this month already. It may get to come out again depending on what I get to work on this month, because I would love to get that bowl under those tomato pincushions done, so that maybe in the next month I could get a finish out of this. We'll see. But this is the fabric that I repurposed from the Nativity. That was the linen that I originally was putting the Nativity on. And because of its small count, 32 count, trying to do faces 1/1 on it, when the pattern was designed for 28 count, just distorted them. And so you've probably heard that story several times, but that's why I had to restart it. And then this is one of my little pieces that I picked up off a freebie table. Loved it. It's my colors. It's also very delicate and lovely, and I think it would be a great asset in my sewing room. I don't know whether it's going to become a picture or whether it's going to become a sewing bag, like a project bag. But this is my Fleur de Lis for Thee, and that's where I got on it this time. That is by Scissor Tail Designs. And this next one is a cutie. It's also by Plum Street Samplers. And I worked on it twice already this month because as I'm zooming, this background sky makes great fill-in, and the houses were too. And I stopped where I did because these ladies' faces, their heads and faces are 1/1. And I was at a point where it was later and I didn't want to try to concentrate on that. But this is the start of the piece, and this is a remnant. I really have enjoyed using my remnants this year. I've saved pieces like this, and it's such a pleasure to find a picture you're going to do that's actually going to turn out very nice, and you're using a remnant of a piece of fabric for you. This one is a Mill Hill kit, and in fact, Marissa, I think, asked me about it, my Mill Hill kit last night, and I told her I thought I had finished all my Mill Hill. I forgot all about this one, Marissa. I'm sorry. But this is a Stitch in Time. I started it in Mania, and I think I worked on it once since then. I'm not doing it on paper. I've decided I'm doing mine on fabric. Hold on, let me put this away because I have it on a little tiny set of scroll rods. But that's where I've gotten to after my second session of working on it. I've almost finished that tomato pin cushion that's right in the middle of this thing. And so that one will be coming out again soon. And then I have some Christmas pieces. This one you've just seen. It is the Christmas Christmas spool tree. And this is where I got to on it. And I'm putting it away now. My next Christmas, sort of Christmas piece is more of it's really a seasonal piece. It's called Wintertime. And as y'all know, if you've watched my channel at all, I am working on this as a memorial piece for Luann. And I'm excited about it. I'm working on a 32 count sandcastle, and it is a Joblin. And here is my start. I've gotten all the way across the top, down the side, and I'm heading back over with that snow. I did it in that pattern simply because I was using it for prompts of stitching white stitches, and so now I won't be restricted by that, and I can go back and actually start working on the body of it, and I think I'll enjoy that very, very much. All right, the last thing I want to share with you that is a whip is my Haid. It hasn't come out yet this month. It will. or at least it's slotted to. And this is the picture. It's called A Real Snow Job. It was gifted to me and by Marlene, Stitching by the Lake, and the artwork is by Jane Wooster Scott. And I've got it in my first Garon toten bag, and it fits in there so beautifully. It has a few colors, yeah. But I'm actually working on this on a Q-snap, and I'm probably going to be moving this over to a scroll rod that I just ordered, and I've just got it in. But I've got lots of hanging threads there, so I am parking and I am stitching diagonally, and that's where I've gotten to. And I have not finished the first page, but I know this is going to be a very long-term commitment, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to stitch and enjoy it and not get stressed out about it, because then that would not bode well for me. I would not be happy doing that. There are a couple of other little things I wanted to share with you in my Wip Parade, because they're not active whips, but you could very easily see them throughout the coming months. And the first one is the companion pieces to one that I stitched in Mania and finished, which was my Scissors and Threads. Now there are several of these pieces. I did mine in Sulky Thread, and that is my finish there. I love the colors. I enjoyed working with the Sulky. This is on Springfield Sage Lugana, and it is a 28 count. So it's nice and big and shows up beautifully. But I have a big enough piece here to do a couple more on that same piece, and then maybe, you know, frame them together. So I've shared this with you. I had purchased 2 more I wanted to do, ribbons and trims and buttons and bows. And I wanted to do these together. So I'm going to be doing those on this same piece of fabric. Haven't started them yet, so they're not in my Wip Parade, but they are actually piled in my baskets where I keep my active whips, so that I can grab this as soon as I feel like I can have a new start on that. The other thing I want to share with you is a whip that I have, that is a whip, but I have decided to put it inactive briefly until I finish other Christmas whips, because I realized I had 4 or 5 Christmas whips going at the same time that I had not finished after my Jolly July. And so this one is Crystal Christmas. It is a mega project. It is a Mirabilia. It has lots of specialty fibers, specialty stitches, beads, crying neck. It's really going to require some attention. It's on a beautiful silk weaver fabric that my friend Marissa reminded me the first video she ever saw of me was me fussing about this fabric not coming in, if you can recall this. Anyway, that's where I've gotten. I've started at the very top of the mountain in the middle of the picture, and I'll work my way down and across and that sort of thing. And I started right in the middle of the fabric because I wanted to make sure that I had enough for this beautiful, beautiful piece. And so I am delighted, but I don't have the time to dedicate to it right now. So I've decided to put it inactive until I finish at least one of like Giggles in the Snow and my Christmas spool tree, and then I'll pull this one in as my Christmas whip. This one is on the 32 count Lugana by Silk Weaver, and the name of it is Pixie Dust. That was the fabric name I wanted to share that with you because it's such a unique fabric. Another thing that you have been seeing and will continue to see, even though it's not a whip, because I haven't started the next one yet, are my Brooks books, Advent Animals. And I have completed 17 of them. Here they are. They're not going to stay together in this one piece. I am going to make ornaments out of them, I believe, because this is not even all of them. This would make such a huge framed piece. There would be no way that I could display it in my home. So I am going to cut them up as planned and make ornaments out of them when I finish them. And I do have 8 remaining. Number 18 will go on this fabric, and then I have another piece of Lugana, 32 count Lugana, same thing right here. Then I will finish the remaining 7 after I put the 18 on here, number 18. I'll have 7 left, and I'll finish it on that second piece of fabric. And then I may have a little bit left over for additional ornaments later on. So you also find this one stored with my active whips, because I consider this series, I guess, an active whip. So those are my projects that are active, or the one that I just put on hold. I wanted you to see it too, but it'll come out soon, I hope, maybe next year. And then I have several projects that I am, very anxious to start going forward. And I have decided, though, that I've got to get some of these whips finished so that makes time in my month to stitch on something and get enough progress on it. So, and I hope that you are having happy stitching and that you're enjoying all of your whips. Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Dina, and it is Tuesday. It is the 18th of August. Well, I had a schedule planned out on what I was going to stitch this month. And as I got to looking at it, I was a little concerned that I wasn't making a progress on any of my whips that would get me close enough to a finish this month, other than my small little ornaments like Advent Animals. So I went through and I looked at all of my pieces, and I looked at how many sessions of stitching or days of stitching I thought it would take to finish. And I found one of my pieces that I thought would take about 4 days to finish. And as it turned out, I was going to do some virtual stitching with a friend, and I was able to outline a large piece of the picture. And I was floored at how quickly it went. So I decided that what I thought was going to be an entire day of stitching had turned out to be just a couple of hours of stitching, and I had time left that evening to keep working. And so I did. I stitched again a couple of more hours that evening and got a whole nother section done. So in other words, it went faster than I expected. So I decided to give up a day off of my schedule that I had sort of designated for something else to be in a prompt on one of my Facebook groups, and I just let that one slide because I wanted to get this one finished. So this is Sew Sisters, and when I was stitching with my friend Laura, I stitched all of this pot, I guess, that holds all the tomato pin cushions, and I had already stitched one color of it, and that gave me the outline of what I needed to fill in, and so I just filled all of that in while we were talking. And then that evening I came over here was this lady, and I did her entire head, and I outlined all of her blouse. So when I started stitching yesterday, I finished the blouse, most of the skirt, and I got bogged down in that skirt. It just takes so long. It's an over-dyed thread, and so you're supposed to stitch it to get the best out of the variegation, you stitch it one stitch at a time. So it took a while. But when I got up this morning, I looked at the piece, and all I had left was a small portion of the skirt and the words, "So Sisters," and then the back stitching, which would be the needles and threads that go in each of the ladies' hands, and the pin cushions, the pins that are in these pin cushions, which takes you just a minute or two. So I am thrilled to report that I have a finish. I think this turned out beautifully. I'm very pleased with it. I think chili pepper is one of my new favorite colors. And I love the way that these colors look on this beautiful piece of green, very light green linen. I'm happy that I was able to repurpose this linen, from my first attempt at the Nativity. And I'm very, very pleased with how it turned out. I think the colors pop on it. I'm very, very happy with it. You can even see the pins. I did try to do, it tells you in the instructions, you can either do French knots or just cross stitches, for the tops of the pins. And on the very first one, I tried a French knot, and it looked really nice. And then the next thing you know, as I was working on the next one, I saw it had pulled back through the fabric. And even though I stitched over a thread when I went back down on the knot to try to hold it up there, this linen is very loosey-goosey, and it just let it slip right on through, and it wound up pulling it underneath the fabric. So I said enough of that, and I did the cross stitches instead. I would have loved to have done the French knots, but this fabric did not hold them well, and I didn't want to fiddle with it too much to make it work. So anyway, that's my finish today. So Sisters, very tickled with it. The 1/1 stitching is in the ladies' faces, and it's also, or is it? No, that's a different pattern. The 1/1 stitching is in the thimble here. And that was it. That was all my 1/1 stitching that I had to do. So really happy about that. So finished it. I left off the 2 flowers on the sides because I wanted it to be a bit smaller, and these flowers, as I've mentioned before, just didn't seem to fit the theme of it being a sewing piece. Maybe that's supposed to be the quilted, appliques or something, I don't know. But anyway, I felt like this was a nice size, nice shape to it, and I'm happy with where I ended it. And so I will say this is probably one of the first times that I've stitched a pattern and I've changed what I've included that much, where I've left something that big off. But I'm glad I did. I like it, and I have a purpose in mind for it, and if it works out, I'll share it with you. But I'm gonna wait until I see how it turns out before I say anything. So my finish for today, on the 18th of August, I have my second finish of the month. The first one was just an Advent animal, so that will probably be my only finish this month, other than maybe another Advent animal. But that's okay. I was just really wanting to eke out a finish of one of my whips, especially since I had started the Cross Stitch Nation, and that means that I can keep my whips at least an even number right now, and haven't added to them. So now I can continue working the rest of the month on advancing my whips, getting work done on each of them, and seeing if something rises to the forefront of being my next focus piece, that I can push to a finish. So thanks for letting me share it with you. I hope you have a great day today. My husband's birthday is coming up on Thursday, and he and my son are 1 week apart. And he's going to be getting ready to go on his hike, and our son is working Thursday and Friday, but he's off tomorrow. So we're actually going to go out tonight and have dinner for my husband's birthday. Celebrate it a little early, give him his presents, and I'm looking forward to it. So I may not get a whole lot more stitching done other than a little bit this afternoon, but I will get all that I can, I assure you. I wish you well. I hope you're healthy, stay safe, wear your mask, and enjoy your stitching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Dina. Today is Friday, August 21st. I have been working on my Little Sheep Virtues, and this is the centerpiece for that, the Country Cottage Needleworks. And then I have the 12 Little Sheep Virtues that I'm going to stitch around it, and I don't really have a picture of it together, so because it didn't come together. But many of you have stitched it this way, and so I decided I wanted to do it in this manner to be a companion for the Afghan that I made about a year ago. So thanks again to Julie McConnell for helping me pick the fabric. She sent me light taupe, and this is the color of it. I think it's quite pretty. It'll be beautiful for the Little Sheep Virtues. I did the border on all of the Little Sheep Virtues in the individual pieces exactly like that. And that was a very time-consuming part of that piece. So I took a chance and I did my own version of a border, and I thought it would work out when I started counting it in the beginning, and I said I had started my own and I showed it as a work in progress. But then I really didn't want to show it again until I made sure it worked. And it did, thank goodness. So I actually stitched my border in a silken pearl cotton number 164 called Acorn Woods. It's a beautiful thread gatherer thread that I had in my stash. And that's what it looks like. You can see all the different colors in there. And I had 2 skeins of it, or at least a full skein and a partial skein, because I used this for the words in my Jumpin' Jack Frost. And I did it for the, talking about the winds blowing, the words that were on that one. So I hadn't used that much of it. And this is all I have left of it. And so I'm actually considering doing the words on this one in this as well, and maybe use it up, but we'll see. But I picked this up for the this rotation and noticed it was a stitch-a-thon and thought, oh, this is perfect, because this, once you learn the pattern, this is pretty easy stitching. You just go. You don't have to read a pattern. And then, of course, the pattern itself became my guide because it's on top of itself. So here's my border, and I did finish it. So I'm really tickled with that. I think it looks beautiful. I'm going to come closer so you can see the colors as they variegate going through. Isn't that precious? Now, I did this line down the middle, just one straight line, and I did that on purpose. I wanted as much room in there as I could get so I could stitch my whole sheep virtues. And if I had done the squiggly line, it would have taken up a little more of that room than I wanted on each end. But I've already counted, and even on this side, from this most inside point all the way across, is 51, and that's exactly how wide the sheep virtues are. So I'm excited about that. They should fit beautifully. And then I went and double checked this one. I did again the straight line instead of the zigzag to represent those broken and spread apart. And I counted today, and on the reduced pattern that Pat designed, where she took out a flower and a few stitches, it brought it to 179 stitches. And I counted this today, and it's 180 stitches across. So it's perfect. I won't have any trouble with that. So it'll fit. So it matched up. I'm so excited. It matched up, and I'm very, very happy with that. I think it looks quite interesting. Love the variegation on it. It's a simple border. It's a little simpler than the one that Pat designed that matched the pattern so beautifully. It's a little simpler because it's just a straight zigzag instead of all of those different stitches. And then I worked out a little funky little corner for each one, and they meet up beautifully. So to say that I'm ecstatic is an understatement. This is the first time I've really done something totally on my own where I didn't have any idea if it was going to work out or not, other than, you know, the little bit of math I did in hopes that it would work out. It looked like it was going to work out from the math, but you know, 'cause math, I'm not a big math person. It worked, and I'm just tickled to death that it worked. And so I think it looks fun. I think it's certainly some way that I've made it my own. And the next time I pick it up, I will start working on the first sheep virtue. Very excited about this one. So I've got to go back and finish counting all these stitches, because I have, when I pick this up to start, I had this top row done. This top section was done, and so I've stitched all of that, and I got to go back and count all of that. It'll be easy. It should be pretty straightforward, but I want to take a picture and post it in my Stitchathon and get credit for that. And then tomorrow is the second day of the Stitchathon, and so I get to work on some more things tomorrow, and I will let you know what that looks like when the time comes. Thanks for letting me share my progress with you. Thank you for all your lovely comments. I will also be putting some pictures in here of Coco's birthday. She is 1 year old. Her birthday actually is the same as my husband's. She was born on his birthday last year. Isn't that exciting? Makes it easy to remember. We did tease with my husband and tell him we had to celebrate his birthday early, because the 20th is now going to be Coco's birthday only. But actually, it turned out that we did celebrate his birthday a little early because of our son's work schedule. It made it easier for him to go with us on a Tuesday night before his birthday, the day before. And so that worked out really well. But so on Coco's birthday on the 20th, she got a piece of birthday cake from Pet Pleasures, peanut butter flavored, and then she got a couple of new toys that we had gotten for her, one of which is a stuffed toy in the shape of a slice of birthday cake. How appropriate. She'll tear it up before you know it. I've already had to stitch it up once. After about 10 minutes, she had ripped a hole in it. She's a very tough chewer. So anyway, her toys don't last very long. But this, you know, was her birthday, and we wanted to celebrate it. So I'll put photos at the end, a little bit of her eating her birthday cake and, you know, playing with her new presents. And then today, she's at her friend Fred's house. And I've been getting pictures already of her and Fred playing and romping. And some of the cutest ones are of her giving him kisses. And so I'll put those at the end as well. So you'll have a great little montage of Coco pictures when you get to the end of this video. All right, happy stitching, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, everyone. How are you? Welcome back. This is Jeanette. Today is Sunday. It is the 23rd of August, but yesterday I started a new start, and I was able to eke out a finish about 11 o'clock last night. But here's what I started yesterday, and this is Remy Rabbit. It is number 18 of the 25 Advent Animals, and I have a confession to make. He's my least favorite, and I wondered why, because I think rabbits are adorable. It's because he's too small. So here's what mine looks like. I did finish him last night, as I said, but here he is, Remy Rabbit. Now, two things I did. One was by accident and one was on purpose. So by accident, I picked up the green for the hat instead of the red. That's supposed to be a red stripe instead of green, but you know what? It doesn't matter. And there's plenty of red in the picture, and so that just brings the green all the way up to the top, and that's fine with me. So I left it there. The second thing I did that's different that I did on purpose, and I'm glad I did because it made a huge difference. These white dots back here were landing right next to both ears in a way that made it very hard to distinguish what you were looking at because the white thread and the white dots just blended together. So I took a very medium gray, I think you can see it there next to his face, and I outlined or backstitched the bunny. I backstitched Remy. And backstitching him pulled him together. You can see his ears now, you know that's what they are, and you can tell his face apart from the dots. It just made a world of difference. A world of difference. So it actually made me like this one instead of disliking it. I really wasn't into it at all. I had to make myself stitch it. But now I'm glad I did. I think he's precious. And of course he's tiny because look how big that gingerbread cookie is next to him. And the candy cane. You know, some candy canes are pretty big, but gingerbread cookies are usually fairly small. And so he's supposed to be a little tiny thing, I'm sure. Anyway, I'm glad that I got him done. And he is the last one that's going to fit on my fabric that I've been working on. So here's the whole collection. And I think they look fabulous together. The colors are just beautiful. So I will bust out my new piece of fabric, my second piece that I bought a while back, to start number 19, hopefully later this month. So that's a really good segue into plans, I think. First of all, I want to tell you that I am right on schedule on my plan for August. I have slated to work on Giggles in the Snow today, and that's to meet my final prompt on the tier I'm on in Cheryl McKinney's scavenger hunt for the year, and I will have completed at least the first tier, and that feels so good. And then the next day is a Sal in Cross Stitch Finish Line, or prompt. Basically, they put them up as events. And this event is to an excuse for a new start. That's just what it is. So I figured, well, I might as well start another Advent Animal because that'll help me get ahead, and maybe I won't have to stitch one in December. Maybe I can finish them all by November if I get one more done this month. So I'm going to start the next Advent Animal, hopefully on the 24th. So I hope you're enjoying your stitching. If you're not a goal stitcher the way I am, I love to set a goal and stitch to the goal. But if you're not a goal stitcher, I hope that you just enjoy your process and that you are really relaxing and seeing some wonderful, pleasant time that you're sharing with your stitching. I'll talk to you hopefully this evening with some progress report, and if not, maybe by tomorrow. But in the meantime, happy stitching, everyone. Hi everyone, welcome back. It is still the 23rd of August. I am here to give you an update of my stitching for today. I had mentioned that I was going to be working on Giggles in the Snow, my Mirabilia that I have combined. And I pulled that out. This will remind you of what it looks like, except mine is going to be together in one piece. So I worked on it today. I had a final prompt on my main tier of the scavenger hunt that I wanted to hit today, and I did. And I was actually stitched 314 or so stitches. I had to get 300 to meet my prompt, and I was delighted because I did the entire shirt down here that's hanging beneath his jacket. So I am thrilled. I had said I was going to try to finish his legs, and then I realized that I would have to roll this up and down several times to do that. So instead, what I'll do next time is I'll come over and do the shadow that's over here. I'll do it over here. And then that will give me the placement to move over and start on the girl. And I will do the girl as far down as I've done him before I roll it down. So I think that's a better plan. I kind of looked at that today as I was working on it. And so there you have it. But anyway, that was my progress for today. Coco has been great. I took her out and we chased a ball. She loves to retrieve a little tennis ball, and I took her up on the side yard, which is on a hill, and I had her run up and down that hill chasing that ball, and it was a good thing to do. It wore her out, and she's been napping a little bit, which gave me a chance to get my stitching done. So I'm really excited about that. Well, I hope you've had as good a day as I have. I hope it's been productive, and I am gonna close up shop here and go check on my puppy and see what all I can whip up for supper. So I'll talk to you soon. Happy stitching, everyone. Good night. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Tina. This is my channel about cross stitch, and today is the 25th of August. I have an update for you for a couple of days, actually. On August the 23rd and 24th, I stitched on a new start that I had made. It was for a sale, I think, in Stitch Mania. I think it was a year of starts or something. Anyway, it was to start something new. So that's the reason I picked this to do it. But I did my next Advent animal, which is Larry Lion. And he is quite a colorful character. But that is the pattern. And I apologize it's not better quality, but I was doing print saver mode, you know, when I printed these patterns out. So this was number 19. So it was the first one on my new piece of fabric. And so it's at that top corner of the fabric. And here is my Larry Lion. Now, I think he's precious. I love his face. He looks very childlike. So he doesn't look, you know, intimidating. But he's a ginger. Look, he's got red in his hair. I just love it. I think that's great. So, stitched him, finished him up yesterday. Didn't film yesterday. I was quite involved in preparation for meetings today at my church, and so I didn't have time last night really to get to the filming of it. So I wanted to be sure I shared that with you today, so I didn't miss showing you my finish. I think I posted it on Stitch from Stash and in the Facebook group where I was stitching it, you know, for the prompt. So that was kind of where that ended up. Then the day was fairly young when I finished up Larry Lion. My stitching time was still there. And so I looked back through my whips and I thought, let me pick a whip that I think, you know, I'm fairly close to and I really want to push it toward a finish. Did you wake up, sweetie? Okay. So my Coco's been napping. She went to visit her friend today, and they've played really, really hard. And she met a new little puppy who is also an Australian Heritage Labradoodle and is a chocolate and is about 10 months old. and it was like seeing Coco in a time lapse. It was, she looked like Coco. They could have been twins. It was so cute, and they loved each other. They played together all day today. So she just took a nap because she was so tired, and she just woke up and came to find me because she heard me talking. So I'll see if she'll let me finish this, but we'll try. So as I was saying, I had a little more time to stitch yesterday, so I picked up one of my whips, and I decided to look at not only something that I felt like I was getting closer to a finish, I wanted to get more stitches in it, but it was one of my Whip Go goals for the board, that I could further it, and you can work on it anytime, you just can't block it out till it's called. So my goal, this was for Fleur de Lis, for thee, and my goal was to get another side done, because I had done the top, and I had done most of the middle. I had a lot of the middle done and the top, so I needed 3 sides. That's what I had left to do, really. Just a little bit of stitching in these little tiny flowers. So I picked that up yesterday, and I got a couple of hours on it, and I was able to finish all of the inside stuff, and I was ready then just to do the 3 sides that were left. So today, while my beautiful puppy was occupied at her friend's house and I had plenty of stitching time, off and on between a couple of meetings that I had today at church, I went ahead and stitched really hard on this up until this evening, and it's probably now, let me check, it's 10 o'clock, so it's time for me to put everything away. It's the right time. I finished it. So isn't that a beautiful color palette? I wanted to share that with you. They're so pretty. I hadn't mentioned them that much, but this is the color palette. There are 2 Weeks Dye Works, and there's 2 Gast. But the good news is these are all the call for threads. The good news is the DMC conversion is on the pattern, so you don't have to guess at all. You can do whatever, but I use the call for. And I'm so glad I did, because my fabric is a remnant from Heroic. And I believe this is what I stitched my little house neighborhood on, because I knew all the blues and greens that, in that pattern would look good on this fabric, because it has those blues and red, streaks running through it. But what I didn't realize until I put this on here together is just how close these colors are to the dye in the fabric. In fact, when I stitched some of the motifs in here and the dye streak was in there, like right here, it almost looks as if the color has bled. And it hasn't, because I haven't washed it, don't intend to. But it's that close. It just is that close. So I think it's beautiful. There are a couple of things I want to share with you, though. The pattern has an error in it. So that's unfortunate. The error is very small. It's 1 stitch that's left out of the ecru in the center of one of the Fleur de Lis's. But for me, the problem was I did that one first, and I read the pattern, and that's how I stitched it. And then I copied it on all the others. And when I did later go back, and I was looking at the pattern to make sure I had all my stitches inside done, I realized that the other 3 Fleur de Lis's around here all had that bottom ecru stitched in, and only the one that I saw didn't. So that's the error in the pattern. It's not marked on one of them. It is on the other 3. So I had to go back and put it in, all 4 of them, 1 stitch. But I got it. It was okay. That was correctable. And the other thing that I did differently is there is this color here, this lighter pink color. There's sort of a sawtooth every other stitch on the inside that is on the pattern, but I really didn't, you don't see it very well. And I decided I wasn't, you don't see it very well, and I decided I wasn't going to worry with it. So mine is done. It's finished. And I'm very, very happy about that. So, there's another finish for you. Well, my battery is running low, so I'm going to go ahead and say goodnight. Coco's been over here barking at me, fussing at me, wanting me to come take care of her, so I'm going to call it an evening. I hope you're enjoying your stitching. I hope you get lots of time to stitch tomorrow and the rest of the week, and I will come back as soon as I have another report to share with you on progress. Happy stitching, everyone. Happy birthday, Coco! Happy birthday. That's your birthday cake. Oh, where are you going? On the couch. Let's cut it into a little piece and give it to her.
There you go. There you go. Let's pull this up a little bit. We can eat part, save part for later.
Yeah. Oh, now she's getting into it. Birthday bone. It's a cake. Shaped like a bone. Happy birthday, Coco. What you got there, baby doll? What you got there? Is that your new birthday toy? Is that your new toy?
This is yours. You come to the island, you got stickers.
Uh-huh. Where's your cake? All right.